Hi, I'm Dr. Dhanwanti Rajwade, and you are watching Anatomy of Bias.
This is a patient who has the story of who has stuck with me all these years. I had seen her while I was still a student. And the reason this story is so important is because it told me how often we might not know the origins of someone's psychiatric manifestation. So this was a young girl. She was about in her early 20s who had been in and out of the psychiatric system since the time she was in her early teens. And she used to manifest with this ever changing manifestation earlier with anxiety and depression. And by the time she came to us in her early 20s, she used to present almost in what we now call dissociative disorder, but in earlier terms was called hysteria. That means like she used to faint randomly, and it would seem that it was fueled by anxiety whenever her husband had to go away on work leave, like a work trip. And to reduce her anxiety, her mother used to take her back to their hometown. And instead of causing her to feel more relaxed about it, she would start fainting even more. And her husband would invariably then have to request to not go on that trip. And this kept happening over and over again. And we had tried almost every possible treatment. And it was just a case that was so frustrating because we were just making no headway. Her mom used to come and stay with her, and the husband was having so much trouble at work because he was unable to do his duties. It was, I'm pretty sure, almost several months after I had been in contact with her that one day her husband came to the OPD and said, Doctor, we need to speak to you about something that's very important. And the husband had really taken the time, really tried to understand what was going on. And what we found out was from the time that she was a young child, she had been sexually assaulted by a close relative in the house. It was an uncle who was very, very close to the family. And she did not have initially, and this is something that I've seen happen well over time with all my other clients in my private practice, that for a lot of children initially, because they are so attached to the person who is doing this to them, they don't even realize that this is something that was inappropriate or wrong. And when they get older, I think there's some instinct that starts kicking in, and they just start feeling very odd about it. But they don't know who to tell because it's been going on for so long, and the person is such a close family uh, associate. And she was pretty sure that no one would believe her. She didn't tell anyone because she was sure no one would believe her. And as luck would turn out, the husband was from a similar community, and it was a very influential family. So he gave her every reassurance that this would be taken up. They got that person to stop contact with her. But I realized that sometimes when we have very, very frustrating cases that we don't make any headway with, uh, it could be something that we might not even imagine. And what's happened is that as I started doing my private practice, I realized how many of my clients have a history of sexual abuse in the past. And I'm not just talking about women, I'm talking about men as well. I only do adult psychiatry, so I don't do child psychiatry. So I am seeing what this child sexual abuse has done to them over the years and how they land up in, the psychiatric system because of unresolved problems from their childhood. So this case really, really left a big mark on me.
So, why do you think, as a child, the child finds it very hard to speak up against sexual abuse?
Right. So what I found is initially, I think that in India, there just might not be enough conversations in the house about what is accepted touch and what is not accepted touch. And also, of course, exist in a community, so it's very common for us to leave the children to the care of a trusted relative, and I don't think that parents are wrong in doing that. We all need our support systems, but it's good to keep a clear eye when a child suddenly refuses to spend time with that relative, or suddenly, their behavior starts changing. Because I've seen that in the story that almost every adult who has had child sexual abuse has told me, that uh, they come to know when their peers start talking about sexuality in some way. So either they've been exposed to material, or their friends talk about it, and that's when it hits them that, oh my God, this has been happening to me all the time. So one, they might not even know it's inappropriate. And sometimes when they know it's inappropriate, and if they might tell their relatives or their family that I don't want to spend time with this person, they might just come across as being difficult. And because these people hold such a respectable place in society, even as adults now, when they tell their family members, this is what I went through as a child, their family members still don't believe it.
Do you think it requires an external source to believe in the patient and ratify what?
I I think that sometimes it's difficult for parents to accept it because of their own guilt and their own disbelief. A lot of times the disbelief is not that they're heartless, it's just straight up denial. It's just, I can't believe my child had to go through it. I think even in the way that these stories are reported, there's just so much stigma attached to it, and there's so much stigma attached to having gone through that experience. There's just so much bias against it that people just find it impossible to talk about it, even with someone that they know there's going to be no judgment and this person will believe what I say. Like when they come to therapy, I am going to believe what they say. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm on their side. And they still take so long to tell me about it. That they don't believe me, they won't believe me is still in the background. But the reason I wanted to talk about it is that what is most frustrating for me is that these now adults carry so much guilt about going through that experience. They feel like I didn't do anything to stop it. And we're talking about 7 to 12-year-olds. How are they going to stop it? It's almost heartbreaking, but it is so strong and it's such a common pattern. So that's why I thought that it's something that really, really needs to be addressed.